Let's now go across to our guests to discuss further what this now means for India, for China, for the world, for geopolitics. Thank you so much, Ratish Mehta, Senior Research Associate Organization for Research on China and Asia. Joining us, Gunjan Singh, China expert, Associate Professor at O.P. Jindal Global University, and Namrata Hasija, Research Fellow with the Center for China Analysis and Strategy, Stimson Center. Thank you all for joining us on the program. It's been quite a morning, seeing that handshake, looking at the body language, then the kind of statements that have been made. Ratish Mehta, first to you, your comments on, all the developments since the morning that have taken place, and, this sense of cautious optimism and hope for, a new dawn, as it were, of India-China relations.
First of all, thank you for having me for this show. It is indeed true. The meeting today morning has been a historic one. So has Prime Minister Modi's visit to China. It comes at the backdrop of 5 years of very troubled relationship with Beijing, as well as in the past month and a half, where there has been a lot of movement from Beijing as well as Washington towards New Delhi. But I think there is a slight tendency to misread the meeting as well as the visit as a whole, right? And the misreading is actually stemming from this idea of conflating or mixing up a strategic posture to a complete realignment of some sorts of for New Delhi's relationship with Beijing. China relations with China have seen some very troubled relations. The past 5 years, there has been a lot of mistrust, both strategically as well as structurally with Beijing. And this meeting should only be seen as part of a compartmentalized effort to take a step one by one. As far as the meeting is concerned for today, that took place today morning, of course, we understand there were some very big leaders representing India, but there were also some very important members of the Chinese party, Communist Party, representing the Chinese side, including Chao Shi, who's Xi Jinping's right-hand man, as well as Chang Shanji, who is the chairman of the NDRC, along with Wang He, who's the foreign minister. So there is a desire to reconcile relationships, but how quickly that relationship takes a positive upward turn is something that needs to be thought out carefully from the Indian side, because as we know, the relations with China have not always have always resulted in positive relations.
Well, to put it mildly, really, you're absolutely right. And that's why, even Gauri was talking about how, incremental gains and the Prime Minister emphasizing there's a need for mutual trust and respect. Gunjan Singh, your comments on that, yes, of course, we have been burned by China in the past, but given the situation now, what we are seeing from the West, and this the tensions with Trump and the tariffs that we are seeing, that is the reason that now we are looking to hopefully have better relations with China and grow from here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the panel, first of all. But yeah, you cannot take away the Trump factor. Definitely, that's why everybody is very interested in what Modi and Xi are going to talk and how this relationship is going to go forward. But let's not forget, it's a meeting on the sidelines of SCO. Yes. It's still not a bilateral meeting. They're still not, primarily don't have space and mandate to discuss major issues. And as was mentioned earlier as well, it's the trust deficit. So Trump is definitely a common, let's say, an agenda or a problem for India and China. Both are facing tariffs, both are struggling economically, and obviously it's a global economy which is in a flux overall. And also Prime Minister will be meeting Putin also tomorrow, so that agenda will also be seen how it goes ahead from there. But I'll still say it's cautious, right? It's a good effort, good I should say meeting, because it's a 7 years gap that China, our Prime Minister is visiting China, but they did meet last year as well on the sidelines. So that's it's right. Not like they're meeting after a very long gap. Obviously, this meeting comes under the immediate implementation of the tariffs on India, which is 50% as of now, and obviously impacting our trade. And obviously, India-China trade is one place where we can work more and maybe improve relations. But we do have trade deficits with China as well, and there's a lot of bilateral also that needs to be sorted out. But it's the trust, and as was mentioned earlier, 75 years of bilateral relationship, diplomatic relationship, and we consistently have not had very good relations. There's always been roadblocks. There's always been hope. We always been cautious. And if we look at the statements as well, both the leaders are technically not talking about the same thing. India is still talking about the border and disengagement, and obviously looking at agenda that needs to be resolved for a proper reset of relationship. This cannot be termed as reset. It's still a meeting. Reset is a long drawn process. Galwan was definitely something which will take a long time to resume. And Chinese are still talking about flights and Mansarovar and people to people contact. So, and economy. So I think we still need to align where our problems are, who wants what, and both sides definitely need to sit together bilaterally to discuss that more.
All right. Just before I come to you, Namrata, I know you've been waiting patiently. Let's just listen into what a Chinese journalist had to say about the meeting that took place.
We're reporting continuously from the SCO summit here in China, and the big handshake between the Chinese President Xi Jinping and, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just concluded. It was more than 50 minutes meeting, and some people-to-people contact and an unprecedented way forward between India and China. Who would have thought that 5 years after Galwan, there would be a reset in ties? Thank you to Donald Trump and the White House for making this happen. But joining me right now is a journalist from China, Chen, who is in fact the founder of the China Briefing News, who will speak to us more about the reset in the ties. Thank you very much, Chen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, please tell me, how do journalists in China see the developments between India and China? You know, there is the Trump tariff. It was imposed on China, and now the Maharaja of tariffs, Bob, against India, and a lot of anti-India statements coming in from the American side. What are your views?
I think for the U.S. huge tariffs against India, I think it's beyond everyone's expectation. Previously, we always believed India is an ally of the U.S., but now you have the over 50% of the tariff, and also the U.S. has forced India to open its more market, for example, the sensitive agriculture part. So I think that is a huge shock, and some people even call it kind of a betray. And for the China-India relations, I think as both sides agree that we are not affected by the third party, but we're also not targeting the third party. I think for Prime Minister Modi's 7 years, the first visit in 7 years to China, I think that is a milestone for the bilateral ties, especially as you said, it's kind of a reset for this bilateral ties. And I think as the two leaders have met to have this kind of strategic dialogue, I think that have paved a very strong path for the bilateral ties, and especially for the communications among different ministries and for the different levels. I think that is good for both sides, politically, economically, and also for the culture-to-culture and the people-to-people exchange.
All right, so those were comments by a Chinese journalist on the meeting that just took place. But coming to you now, Namrata, if you can also your comments on the meeting that has taken place. Everybody is very cautious, saying this is just the beginning. Let's not hold our horses, not get too excited over this. The body language has also been spoken about, the kind of it was not cold but very impersonal handshake. Xi Jinping's expression also, he does have that inscrutable expression, so maybe you're reading too much into it. But yes, your comments on the developments of this morning.
Thank you, Gargi, for having me here. And, observe Xi Jinping's body language when he's meeting President Putin. You will not see the same body language that he has, with Modi. There's always like a smile ear to ear that he has. And that's very rare for us to see, when he's meeting other leaders. As far as the meeting is concerned, calling it a reset, historic, milestone, I don't think I would use such words. Second, I don't think the Trump's tariff
but
is
reset,
the reason.
Wouldn't you agree to reset? At least all of you are being so, quite pessimistic. But hopefully a reset in ties, maybe?
We are being realistic. That is why you don't us, calling it all these terms.
Of course. It's just the kind of statements that were made as well. Yes.
Yes, and also what I was saying, that let's not give Trump a lot of credit behind this meeting. It's been 9 months. It was, the process started 9 months back. So that time, India was not facing the 50% tariff. So let's not give Trump that credit also, that, he's the reason behind, this meeting. So it was 9 months back when the two leaders, the two, countries started talking to each other. So it's been a very long drawn process that has resulted, in whatever we are seeing, the thaw or the little readjustment that we are seeing in India-China relations. So it took a really long time. Yes, the tariffs is making everyone look up to this meeting. That's another thing. But I would not say,
there is a shadow of the Trump, the tensions, and therefore more, emphasis or more, we're really, looking at this meeting taking place.
Yes, and also let's not forget that it was the Chinese, Wang Yi, who actually came here first discussing the special representative talks. But those are on border issue, right? But what did he discuss instead? Economy. So let's also figure out that it's economy that's pushing the Chinese, and it's their, economy right now, which has been under pressure for a very